Welcome back, you guys. I'm sure everyone is collectively wondering, why was Lampard sacked? And in this video today, I'm going to address the story. Of course, big credit this time goes to The Athletic for releasing a very revealing article that just paints this picture with even more detail, with even more clarity. In the end, in typical Chelsea fashion, a manager gets sacked because of a combination of player power and the board's politics. And I've been saying this for a while. Let me just say this right now, you guys. For me, the board at this club have consistently been a bottleneck because they prioritize the politics. They prioritize the marketing, the image of the club over the actual success and results on the field. So credit goes to The Athletic for this, but I'm kind of wondering why, why is it only coming out right now? Why was this not being released before? Probably know why. Let's not even go there, you guys. But to kick things off, let's address this player power. Now, of course, it is, poetic irony that Lampard, who used to be involved in the same thing, becomes a victim of that thing in the future. But for me, there's levels to it. There's a difference, because back in those days, when we had our Lampards, our Terrys, our Coles, our Drogbas, our Ballacks, Essens, players that mattered, players that were winners, players that had the trophies, the success behind their backs as proof. For me, these guys are absolutely up here. As a fan base, we still look up to them for very good reason. And if you hire a coach that isn't going to get the best out of players of that standard, that caliber, that have consistently won it and produced the goods for us, then I agree with the players, you've got to get them out. You have to get them out. That was a prime example we saw with Scolari, who came in and did absolute, who knows what he was trying to do here. And with Villas-Boas as well, who, I'm not even going to get into that because the boards also didn't help this guy out at all. But what I cannot accept is that the players who were involved in the player power for this year, who were involved in the sacking of Lampard, are your guys that are average, are your guys that are mids, that haven't done nothing in the game, that didn't contribute to any proper success. They were just part of the success. They weren't influencing it. I'm looking at Cover. When Madrid were winning those European trophies, you were coming off the bench. I'm looking at Rudiger too. What's he done? Jorginho, sorry, made a career for this guy, using him in such a niche role. Is it any surprise that no clubs want to sign them? Marcus, I can go on, and I think ultimately, Kepa Arrizabalaga, and even having to talk about this guy, man, with Kepa, I understand the criticism he's been getting. It's been outrageous, it's been wrong. I'm not supporting it whatsoever. And for me, I'm not even angry at Kepa. Of course, you're a player, you want to play. I think, though, I'm looking at the person that commissioned that signing for Kepa. The person that commissioned that massive 72 million signing for a goalkeeper that, at the time, wasn't really being spoken about like that. That didn't demonstrate that he had the levels to reach the top. And as typical, what links these mid-tier B-tiers that have been kicked out the team rightfully because they're not on the levels to take us to a new level? They were hired, they were signed by the boards. And of course, if Lampard's coming into the club, wants these guys out immediately, they try to do that. But, of course, there's no market for these guys at all. That then becomes a big L on the board. That puts pressure on the board. It brings up so many interesting questions about their methodology and their planning and their preparation and the intellect behind some of these signings too. Of course, they can't be feeling that pressure. They got someone to answer to. So in typical Chelsea fashion, as we saw with Conte, as we saw with Sarri, Lampard becomes a victim of the board's politics. And wow, it's crazy that we've come to this level. For me, this is how you become an Arsenal. This is the Arsenalification of Chelsea Football Club. And the reason why clubs lose their standards and their levels always comes down to the board above them. One thing that consistently the Athletic article does highlight is the club's hierarchy and having faith behind these guys for a very valid reason, because they commissioned these signings and of course the pressure will be on them for failing. Deflection tactics to its finest, typical of this football club. And even more information. We know for a while that Lampard has been desperate for Declan Rice, not because of nonsense reasons like because he's English and because that's all Lampard knows. That useless rhetoric, dominating Lampard's time at the club. Absolute disgraceful. The boards weren't really feeling commissioning that signing because, forget about the football, forget about the improvements, the way he plays, his quick passing between the lines, passes that break the lines, playing that speed, the tempo, the strength, the defensive integrity. Nah, those things weren't looked at. For them, for the boards, in a typical political fashion, it became a case of, how can we sign back this guy for big money when we let him leave for free? Are you nuts? How many... it doesn't make sense. I mean, we did it for Matic. What was the big deal there? You look at other clubs, you look at United, who did that for Pogba, and they've benefited from that. Who is making these decisions? To keep players that don't suit the system, the new direction Lampard was trying to take the style of the team towards, we're going to impact our future to maintain these B-tier, mid-tier players who aren't levels, who don't contribute to nothing, who actually contribute to more of the individual mistakes we've seen, the defensive collapses, the poor pieces of play. These guys will remain. I gotta be real, you guys. I'm now looking at Tuchel signing with a lot more scrutiny right now. And, if I see guys like Rudiger straight in the team, because let's remember, in the summer, Paris Saint-Germain, then coached by Tuchel at the time, we're looking at Rudiger to come to the club. If I see Rudiger back in the team, if I see George and Cover back in the team, if I see certain players like Alonso magically get on the sub bench all of a sudden and get back from nowhere, for me, it's going to scream bootlicker. Absolute bootlicking, in my personal opinion, which makes sense because, of course, Tuchel, he needs to keep his rep up. This managerial game is harsh, it's ruthless. It's all about image and what you do at the time, not about the tactics you bring, the philosophy, the coaching. And I think his appointment now screams that it's going to be results over performance. Now, okay, let me address this properly before some people try to purposely misconstrue what I'm saying. But what I mean by that is, I don't personally think we are going to see this evolution in the style. I don't think we'll be playing football in that type of manner. I think Tuchel coming in right now, I mean, where's the time to really work with the squad to do absolutely anything when it comes to his footballing principles and ideas? He won't have that time until pre-season for next season. So I get the impression that potentially it's going to be a lot more result focused. We're going to see the introduction of some of these guys that the boards just cannot accept their L's on, cannot accept it. Imagine how embarrassing it was for them this summer. Imagine how embarrassing it was when they couldn't offload any of these guys. They couldn't offload Rudiger. They couldn't offload Alonso or Emerson, even though the entire Serie A was after these guys. They couldn't offload your Covers. Who's ever going to buy that guy realistically? Jorginho too? Roma? Juventus? No one's interested. The board play themselves. They play themselves. We look like fools in the market. As we've seen consistently in previous windows now, there's clearly a strategy from clubs that are interested in our players by making late loan approaches, putting pressure on us to have to sell for a more reasonable fee and reasonable price. That's what it's been about. And, looking back at previous articles too, where the board was in high praise of Lampard because, his introduction with the academy guys was seen from a purely business point of view, in the sense that now we don't have to spend a 50 million on a right back because we have Reece James. Now we don't have to spend this amount of money on Mount because, we already have him in the team. That's always been their priority. And this is the difference between clubs like us and the massive legacy clubs and your Bayerns, your Barca's, your Madrids. Clubs like that, yeah, the manager says, I need you gone. I'm looking at Bayern Munich. Tolizo's been kicked out the door. Boom, they do that because they support the manager. But overall, they support the progression of the football, the philosophy of that, because that is what leads to the success consistently every single decade. Every single decade. I'm looking at Marina, and I'm not going to be here saying, oh, she's crap, she's terrible, blah, blah, blah. Nah. Of course, she's good in her own rights. But for me, as I constantly keep seeing through modern football, the second, especially in this country, we just allow any ex-banker, any ex-lawyer, any elite status individual to buy their way into football clubs here. Everything changed. Everything was solely about results and business and profit. That's all it is. It's mad to me. It's mad to me, This entire season, I've been stressing this too, and now that this news has been revealed, now that this sacking has actually happened, it's painting the clearest picture with so much clarity right now. We've always had two teams within the squad. The academy guys who are levels, absolute levels, who were the reasons we got a top 4 finish last season. Not your Jorginhos and your Covers who could not defend. I mean, the fact Cover won Player of the Year was an absolute embarrassment to me because it was purely the vibes and aesthetics that got the attention, but not his overall footballing ability. These guys have cost us with individual mistakes, poor pieces of play, poor defending against the counter-attack. You know, what serious manager is going to win a league title or Champions League with players with that ability? And the root to all of them all is Marina, who commissioned these signings in the first place. What serious manager is going to do that type of job where you've got 2 different teams, you know, players, the new signings, the academy players for the future who play that modern way, and these old signings signed under different management, signed under different ideas and principles and tactics, so of course more naturally get cast to the side if the club is moving to a new direction. But only at this club will we side with those types of players instead of thinking about the future. And of course, pure deflection tactics at its finest. You can't accept responsibility for maybe putting the club in a certain direction due to really terrible investments, overspending. I mean, when we signed Sarri, we had to sign Jorginho with him. And I know what Marina's thinking. Oh, if we stop Man City from getting him, then this is going to be a massive coup. But wow, what a regret in hindsight. I mean, if Man City had signed Jorginho, I mean, we're potentially affecting our rivals in terms of how they're going to improve and progress because, as it was proven, he isn't levels. So, Lampard gets the blame. The narrative gets twisted to him not finding the best solutions for the new signings and new investments, as if we weren't seeing that. What really affected our season was every time we had injuries, every time players were out, players got COVID, fitness concerns, we had to turn towards players that quite clearly are angry and upset that they were basically kicked out of the team. And with serious football clubs, they get rid of these guys. But here, it will never happen. It will never ever happen because it's all about politics, saving face, and it seems like it will continue to forever go on and go on. So you guys, on that note, I'm gonna wrap things up for now. Gonna be more videos, gonna be doing some streams of speaking to some good football about football, not the shit content creators that have been profiting off this negativity, but some good people where you can just break down and discuss what the hell's been happening today. In the end, Lampard gets the sack for prioritizing the new direction he wanted to build. The academy guys, the new signings, you know, in his absolute right to reject the guys of the past who were brought in terrible circumstances who haven't really done nothing to add to our success or progress us. Lampard was put in an impossible situation, all because of the board, and I knew it because this is how football is. Man who are earning 6 figures a week, international players, and they're kicked out the team for younger man. Of course there's going to be issues with that. Oh my god, honestly guys, I'll catch you on a bit, yeah.